I knew that I wanted to do something in film. The film was always my passion. I wanted to go and be a director. And then I found out what a director actually does. I don't think I can do that, or I don't think I'd like to do that. And so a couple of my friends said, "Well, why don't you go into props?" Because I like making things, I like fixing things, I like taking things apart and seeing how they work. Like, oh, I want to pursue prop house, being a prop master, and specifically wanting to be an armor. So I think it's very rare, especially in California. I was the only one who wanted to do what I do. So you had a golden ticket. What do you want to do, like, for your career? Necessarily help me education wise to get me where I am. So this is my rifle that I
Oh,
use. I was like, oh man, that was around the same time as Thunderbolt. So if DC and Marvel going at the same time, I have to remember what I'm doing now because I won't see my work until a year at least from now. I know this is a bit of a controversy, but
hey everyone, this is Abhi from No-Budget Filmmaking Podcast, and with me is my wonderful friend Brian. Hi, Brian.
hello. Hey everybody. So my name is Bryan Higashida. I'm currently the a stock handler for Independent Studio Services, ISS for short, as many of you may know. We're a prop house based in Sunland, California. And right now I'm the stock handler for the military and police department.
Oh, that's so amazing. So what does a stock handler does exactly?
So most of my tasks are just when props go out to a shoot and they're done filming it and then they return to us, we're the ones to restock it back onto the shelves. So it's in layman's really simple terms, just putting no, putting things back on the shelf, just putting stocking shelves. But we also do repair work. Random times there'll be clients that come in that say, "Hey, I'm doing a film and I need help finding correct period military gear or police gear. Can you help me find which is period correct for this film?" Or I'm looking for something sci-fi and I need to find something that's that fits that criteria. I'm looking to find something maybe Western or period from like Civil War or like the 1800s or something, and I help them navigate through our warehouse and find exactly what they need for the shoot.
Question, do you create those too, or is it just you just handle it?
So our we do have a sister company called Studio Art Technology that fabricates custom stuff. And then we have a weapons department within ISS that deals with blank firing and any of that sort of stuff, like non-guns and all of that. But I usually handle any BB guns, rubber guns, plastic guns, anything that you don't need a license to get, essentially, or that's safe to handle, deactivated guns, so it's less dangerous for somebody to just accidentally, hurt themselves with it.
Okay, okay, that's nice.
How do
And
you
how do
get?
you into this field?
Um, I originally, it's kind of a long story. So I originally got into Cal State Northridge in the TV program, and I knew that I wanted to do something in film. The film was always my passion, and I didn't really know much about it. I knew that I originally wanted to go and be a director, and then I found out what a director actually does. It's mostly working with actors, trying to get the talent to perform to the best of their abilities to the picture, to tell the story in the best way that they can. And I was like, I don't think I can do that, or I don't think I'd like to do that. And so a couple of my friends said, "Oh, why don't you go into props?" Because I like making things, I like fixing things, I like taking things apart and seeing how they work. And uh, I think it's very rare, especially in California, um, to have an individual who's really passionate about history and firearms. And so that was where my interest started. And so I was like, oh, I want to pursue prop house, being a prop master, and specifically wanting to be an armor. So that's my future endeavors. Um, and for me, some guys they can look at a car and say, "Oh, that's a 1970s whatever Camaro," or that's that you can just look at a car and you know what it is or how it sounds or what's in the engine or things like that. For me, I can just be like, "Oh, that's an M4A1 or that's an M16A4 that was used during this period to this period by this armed forces," or that's a Russian AKM that's different from the Russian AK-47. It's chambered in 7.62 by 39, and it just comes to me. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to use all the knowledge that personally just comes really easy to me to help me in my career to do something that I like to do, to teaching gun safety, to make films be as accurate and as awesome as possible. Um, so yeah, it just kind of fell in place that way, and it worked out because CSUN, unfortunately, they don't have a program that talks about like props or set decorations and stuff like that. It's usually camera or sound or editing or directing or acting even, but there's no like set decoration or prop mastering courses, or there's no majors, there's nothing. So I was one of the very few people that I was always telling people this is what I want to do, and because there's very little competition, everybody wants to be directors, DPs, ACs, a lot of scripties, even writers. I was the only one who wanted to do what I do. So a lot of friends just said, "Hey, can you help me in my thesis? Can you help me in my thesis?" And I just became known as, "Oh, you need a prop master, you go to Bryan, or you need guns, you go to Bryan." And so I just eventually got on so many thesis films that I met a guy, and I used to always like asking people these questions because we're on school, saying, if you had a golden ticket, what do you want to do like for your career? So if qualifications weren't a matter, if level of experience, or the knowledge wasn't an issue, if you said, "Oh, I want to be the CEO of Warner Brothers or Disney," and it was instant like that, what would you want to do? And so eventually, people said, "Oh, my major is this, but my actual passion is this." And I never forget that one of the films I was working on, I asked the production designer that I was working for, I said, "What do you want to do?" And he says, "Oh, I really want to go into editing at the time." And he says, "Oh, well, what do you want to do, Bryan?" And so I said, "Oh, well, I really want to work for this company called Independent Studio Services because they're the North America's, I have to remember right, they're North America's largest private armory. And they rent most of the guns and most of the shoots that we see, all the films made or that are streamed and everything go through them." And he goes, "Huh, I work for them." And
Oh,
so that was just an amazing thing. And then a couple months later, uh after he graduated, he said, "Hey, I just want to let you know I got promoted." And I said, "Oh, congratulations." He says, "No, you don't understand. I got promoted, which means my job is open." And I was like, "Oh, that's amazing." And I forgot, I was so excited about that, I forgot to ask him, who do I apply to, or who do I contact or whatever. And I was like, you know what do I have to lose? So I went on their contact us page, and I just emailed everybody my resume, a little intro about myself, and said, I this is my passion. I want to work for you." Didn't hear back from anybody for a week, until the CEO actually emailed me back saying, "Oh, I like what you have to say. I forwarded your resume to HR and expect a call within the week." And I got an interview.
oh my God, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
That's a really cool story.
So it's interesting because meeting a lot of people and everything, they say, how did I get to where I am? Or do you think the big question is do you think college was worth it? And I have to kind of reflect on that and saying that yes and no, in a sense of, I did nothing against CSUN. I don't think that CSUN necessarily helped me education wise to get me where I am. It did give me like knowledge of like basic film terminology and how things are done, and jobs and what they do, and the procedure of how to do things. But kind of like, generally, all of us, film people, we're never going to know or need to know like biology on a day-to-day basis, or other nuanced things that like other people probably will in their lives, but we won't. And so I feel like that's the same way, where I don't need to know camera lenses or how to set up shots or how to set up lights or things like that. But I would never have been in the position that I am currently had I not met that guy and not made the connections through CSUN.
Before you said you already had that vibe to know what armor, what arms what the firearm should be and what firearm it is. Uh, how did you develop that? What did someone push you towards it, or was it your own interest through the beginning, like some people who are really crazy about the cars and everything?
Um, I I think it kind of just I use the argument. I don't know if it's true or not. I say it's true just because of personal experience, and it seems to make sense logically in my mind. Of that, usually when you're interested in the subject, you tend to learn it quicker, or maybe you retain that knowledge easier. So if it's something like, no, if somebody doesn't have, for I'm just making this up because I don't know if this is actually true or not. If somebody
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have any culinary knowledge and they hate cooking, they're probably gonna not remember baking recipes off the top of their head. And if they like, um, painting, they're probably gonna be able to identify how to mix paints better or how to paint more efficiently, or correct techniques or something like that. So for me, I personally have never owned a gun in my entire life. I still do not own any guns in my entire life. I just am a kid that grew up still being a kid, and I played lots of video games. I go airsofting with friends, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a like paintball, except instead of big paintballs, you use plastic BBs,
Oh,
and it's usually referred to more as like military simulation. And the actually, if you don't mind, I can show you.
yeah,
We
yeah,
went over the
please,
weekend, and I showed some right now.
please.
Okay, so this is my rifle that I
Oh,
use
okay.
when I go airsofting. So it fires plastic BBs from these, and you can tell it looks obviously way different than a paintball gun. This is an
Yes,
airsoft gun, and because of the markings, it's very dangerous because you can actually get mistaken for this being a real gun.
yes.
Um, this is a model HK416 A5 model, and then I just put scope, lights, and whatnot on it. So I use this when we go BB shooting for pretending to play army. Um, and so I just used to go do this with friends. And then I say, or I used to just have all that knowledge retained when playing video games, like, oh, that's this gun. And then I want to know more, like, oh, when was it invented? Who uses it? Why is it like this? And then going from video games, maybe learning more on YouTube, like saying, oh, why was this a good model? Why was this replace this? Just like, if something, you since the dawn of history, when man was like, okay, we need to hunt, so you use your hands to kill a rabbit or something. Well, if it's a bigger animal, then you're probably going to learn how to sharpen a stick. And then, well, if it's a lot faster, then you throw a rock. And then that came the invention of bows and arrows or spears. And then, well, they're a little bit further. So now you need to have projectiles. And then with the invention of gunpowder, well, then it was cannons. And then you got it, so as you had a problem, there was always improvements of that. Why did the first smoothbore did this, rifles did this, and then they mentioned cartridges and casings and everything. So now, okay, we're solving new problems to try and make it better, to make it efficient. And I was just like, I think that's fascinating. It's the uh like how things are invented because people thought, how can I improve what we already have? How do I make it better? How do I make it more efficient? How do I make it cheaper? How do I make it lighter? How do I make it all this? And it just, I thought that was fascinating how people, like, yeah, just invent things. And for me, that it translated into, okay, well, history. Well, why did World War I have all this stuff and World War II saw, oh, this is a problem. We're going to improve on that. World War II went around. And for the US, then it was Korea, then the Gulf War, and so on and so forth.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so it was that for you. So you were just basically earning from your hobby.
Yeah.
That's
This was so I've only been at my job at the time of recording for just shy of 3 years. And everybody asked me, like, for at work and outside of work, family and school colleagues and friends, they say, how do you feel about your job? And I said, well, coming from working at a grocery store as my first job, I was there for 11 years,
oh
and
my God.
it took me a long time. Yeah, it took me a long time to come to terms of that, saying, hey, I'm not happy here. I want something better. I don't want to have to retire at like mid 70s or something like these people are doing the same thing over and over, and I don't have any self gratification. It's in the big scheme of things like, okay, you're part of the feeding people infrastructure, but short term it's like I'm, you know, sweeping aisles or restocking food and everything, and it's like that's very it wasn't very self-fulfilling. And so that's why I went back to school, and I was like, I want to do what makes me happy. I want to feel like I'm, being fulfilled and being part of the industry that makes people happy, that makes people cry, that gives people hope, that tells a story of what happened or what could happen, all these things. And so that's why I like the film industry. And I was like, oh, I wanted to get into that and be just a small piece in the big wheel of, this big machine.
How did you deal with that? And how, obviously, it's really, really, really important, but how seriously, obviously, everyone takes it seriously, but how big of a process it is to make it safe?
Um, so for me, it started when I was a Boy Scout. And I was always told, like, okay, before you make a fire, make sure you have water. If you don't have water, make sure that you have sand. Make sure that you clear everything away that can be burned. You make sure that everybody knows that you're starting the fire here. You know that you plan for, worst case scenario A, B, C, D, and then hopefully if A doesn't work, then you go to B, then you go to C, and you prepare all this before you even start the fire. And so that was kind of already engraved in my head going into this, knowing that, okay, well, this is my core values of I want to be the person that people rely on to know that they can trust me with their lives, because it's not only just firearms as a prop master's job, it's also, if an actor eats a bad chicken sandwich, that can be dangerous too. So they have to be able to be trusting enough to say this is safe for you to eat, it's not raw, it's not, dangerous for you to have or whatnot. So I think it just goes on the same thing of like, I want to be so good at my job and instill confidence in people that are unsure, because it's my job that they can trust me to keep them safe. It's not necessarily just the first AD, because that's just another security layer. They also have to be able to trust me too, because if for like I was on a shoot where the first AD, we were going over, we used rubber guns for their film, and I took them aside and I said, listen, I want to go over a safety meeting with you to make sure if anybody has any questions, maybe they don't come to me, they may come to you because they know you more and you interact with all the departments. So I'm going to make sure that you're comfortable with me doing my job, so that when I do the safety meeting with everybody, that everybody is comfortable, and maybe they don't want to talk to me, which is totally fine. I think that people, if they do have questions, they should have to, be able to be comfortable enough to say, hey, I have a concern. And so I want to make sure that she's comfortable too. And she was really nervous. She said she's never, if I could be wrong about this person, but she said that she never been around guns, or she never fired guns or saw it, or for whatever reason. So when I showed it to her and I was demonstrating, just to let you know, these are rubber. They You can't put a real bullet in them. I did not bring real bullets. You cannot force one in here. If somebody brought one without me knowing, you cannot accidentally put one in. But just to be safe, we're going to treat these as if they are real. So we're not going to be playing with them. We're not going to be waving them around. We're not going to be, taking out and taking selfies with them and everything. I want to treat these as real, because that way, and when we do eventually move on to the real world and have blank firing guns, you have that mindset of, these are not toys, these are tools, these are just like, a camera or the chicken sandwich, or like a spear or a bow and arrow or a stick. These things can be dangerous when used wrong. And she was like, thank you. And she was like, I feel a lot more confident around it. I know now that Bryan, what you're doing and everything. And I was like, that's great. Like because I think it's the worst thing if people's unsure about what they're doing and they're worried about other departments, and they're either scared or nervous to speak up and ask questions. Then that's when things get overlooked, and they say, oh, I really hope that person did their job. And that's when accidents happen.
And yeah, and there's horrible, horrible repercussions of those accidents.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but again, so when you're doing a safety meeting, obviously you did it with the other with the lady as well. But how much prep work you did touched upon it with that answer, but how much prep work you do before with each one? within your team before any shoot, uh, before you bring all those firearms into the place?
Usually prep work doesn't take very long. It's mostly just making sure that uh I double check everything that's going onto location beforehand before the day starts, and then it's sealed and everything. And then when we get there, I usually confer with the art department saying, okay, these we're using for these pages for these scenes. I want to demonstrate with everybody here in within the art department um, that confirming that these are the right things that we the right replica firearms that we need to use. And then I demonstrate safety to them, saying, okay, just making sure I'm going to be the only one because usually it's a small team anyway. Of our department usually we only get like 4 people anyway for small shoots at most, and so I'll say, okay, well I'm going to be the only one that's handling them. If somebody says, hey, I need to use the bathroom real quick, then you tell them give it to Bryan. You don't give it to me. You don't put it on the ground. You don't carry it with you. You don't walk around with it. You give it to Bryan. Um, so saying that I'm going to be the only me and the actor are the only people that's going to handle him. I just show them that I do not have any real ammo with me, or if they do need to shoot it, because sometimes I'll be right back. I have another gun.
Okay.
Okay, so this is another like Air 15 style M4 M16 style rifle. Sometimes you need to have the blowback action.
Mhm.
So I get to show them, okay, right now there's nothing in the chamber, there's no ammo. Um, and then I can demonstrate, okay, we are going to be shooting this, but we're going to have nobody on the other side of where we are going to be shooting it. And then if there does need to be, or just in case something goes wrong, I usually because say that, okay, this only fires essentially propane, so I need to make sure to talk to Jeannie that there's nothing flammable in the area. And then I showed that this is safe, so I'll just do this. I'll have a piece of paper or something, and then shoot it, showing that, okay, it doesn't even go through a piece of paper right next to it, so it's safe. And then I don't use my hand or anything, because just
Yeah.
in case that is just bad practice. But
Yeah.
usually, yeah, that's all I'll do. And then after you do that, then the first aid, I'll talk to the first AD and then go through their safety brief with them if they're not, coordinating other departments early in the day. And then after they do their daily safety meeting, then I'll do mine right after, while the whole crew is all together, just saying, hey, really fast, there's going to be prop guns on set right now. This is how they're going to be used. They're going to be used in this scene. Just to let you know that only myself and the actor will be handling them. Nobody else is to handle them. Nobody else is supposed to have any ammunition. Nobody else is supposed to, if you see any, let myself or the first AD know, because maybe it was left over there from the last shoot. Nobody knows, but at least it shouldn't be there. So tell somebody if you do see it, kind of thing. And then I'll go through saying, we're going to treat these as real as possible, because I think it's good for people to get into the habit of, if you don't think it's a toy gun, then you're not going to play around with it as a toy gun.
Yeah.
And then that way, there's less of a chance of accidents. And then, yeah, then safety meeting's over. Then I'll usually go to the actor and make sure that they're comfortable with using it, or if they have any questions on like handling or manipulating of like the controls or things like that, then I'll want to make sure that they're at least prepared and not fumbling around, unless the character is supposed to be doing that. Just saying what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and yeah.
Okay, so my question was, apart from even making them as safe as possible, you said there's still a chance for them to go off, right?
Uh,
Or no?
not in a sense of like, if I were to just hold this now, it'll explode. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the meme right now. There's a whole lawsuit with the a SIG pistol right now, because are you aware of that's going on right now?
No, no, absolutely
Uh
not. Please
uh
educate me.
so there's a thing right now. It started as a meme, and then it actually turned really really scary, where uh so the army is replacing the M9 Beretta with the M17, the M18 pistol, which is the SIG P320. And that was approved by the Army years ago. They went through testing, but a lot of people, like police departments and civilians in the United States, were saying, hey, this is a really unsafe pistol, because it is I don't know if it's the only, but it's the current, like, by today's standards, like next gen, weapon and everything, where if you essentially shake it, or not even shake it, like there's been a lot of documented cases where it'll just actually shoot with it
What?
actually, yeah, where it'll just shoot without you even touching it. Like there's been cases of like police officers having it just on their belts, not touching their belt, just on their phone or in a writing something down, and it'll go off. And so now that's really hurting the case of like guns don't kill people kind of thing, where it's like, well, there is
Yeah.
one, and there's a whole like investigation and lawsuit right now, is because like the army's like, well, we just spent like several hundreds, if not $1 billion on like a new contract to replace their pistols. And so anyway, this past couple months or something, an Air Force security person died because he took off his belt with a pistol. Allegedly, this is right now, it's being investigated. So this is all I've heard, and I don't want to get sued. I don't want you to get sued.
Yeah.
So this is all I've heard, that right now they're investigating it. So allegedly, he took the pistol off his belt in the holster, put the holster on the table, and it went off, shooting him and killing him. So right now there's an investigation, and I believe as of right now, the Army, ICE, Homeland Security, a lot of police things, and anyways, a whole essentially most of the government has said, hey, even though like this contract was approved, I think it was put on hold because of a government employee dying, or military person, excuse me, dying. This matter is going to be investigated because somebody actually died due to potentially mechanical failure. Um, but that being aside, that's a whole
Yeah.
different thing. That there's not a chance, at least for any of these, or like modern technology ones, for it to just go off.
Yeah. I'm just saying it for the video's sake and for legal purposes. Everything Brian mentioned is alleged at this point, right?
Yes,
So
it
it's not
is.
proven yet. Everything is alleged, and we're not making any statements regarding the case or investigation that's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's no way that it's gonna be like that. But if some idiot or some potential jackass brings something sharp or something and they put it in there in case of a bullet, it can cause injuries, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes. So that's why
Okay.
it's important to make sure that nobody's bringing anything that they're not supposed to, and that the only people that are handling it are the people that are supposed to be. So the people in charge of the guns and the actors that are performing with the guns.
Okay. And what's your safeguard in those regards? Or is there because obviously no one can like body check or every person that comes into the shoot, right?
Not like a, yeah, like a empty your pockets and everything.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but I've heard, because I haven't personally been in charge of blank firing guns. I know that it's standard procedure for like I took a course on gun safety, and I got a certification from an armor, and he said that he usually does is like if they use like police officers or SWAT as extras in movies, and they'll bring their own stuff so that way they don't have to rent it. He tells them, everybody, I want you to check your vests and your pockets and your gear kit, that you don't have any live rounds, and it's okay if you do. Just go back, bring it to the car, and we'll check it again to make sure that it's you don't have any. And just think, there's may have been one guy one time that said, oh, I need to go to my car, and it's like, that's a good check. You don't need to shame them, you don't need to like make a big deal about it, and then you just check them again, say, hey, it's a good thing you did, and maybe they forgot, or they're stressed, or they grabbed the wrong bag, or they forgot to empty the bag. But yeah, I think it's good to at least be have everybody aware, just saying that, this is what should happen, these are all of the precautions we've taken. Um, like so like for us, it's the pre-check at home to make sure, like a camera check, you make sure before you shoot that you're prepared and bringing what you should be bringing, not bringing what you shouldn't be bringing, conferring with the people that or within my team of what's going on, so everybody knows. Conferring with the first AD, conferring with the actor, um, making sure with the crew that, hey, these are the things that we know that are going on. These are the things that we anticipate want to happen. If anything happens without those things that we plan to happen, please tell somebody. There's a lot of safety that goes into it. It's not just hey, we're gonna do this and hope for the best kind of thing.
Yeah, I assume it was, and
Mhm.
I think you said it already. You adjust I don't know a lot of gun lingo by the way,
That's okay.
but for the slot that bullet goes to, you do some adjustments there so that the real ones cannot go in or something like that, right? You
Yeah.
mentioned it earlier.
So for these, these can only shoot the BBs, but they
Hmm.
can be operated without the BBs too. So then you just check, show everybody the magazine saying, I like if they just need to see the like the bang action of it going back and forth,
Hmm.
then I can say, okay, well, I just have gas in this. Just to let everybody know the dangers of this. It is loud-ish. It's like somebody.
Okay, so you were talking about how you make things safer for your shoot to have someone not mess up with this sensitive props.
Mhm. Um, so besides going all the over the like everything in the safety meeting, then only myself and the actor handles the weapons. We make sure that like everything goes to plan, like when we go through the blocking, and then so after we do the rehearsal and then we are actually ready to shoot, and if anything needs to go on between that, like if notes need to be happened, or the actor needs a pause or they need to readjust something, and then only myself and the actor are handling it, so nobody else is even touching it or anything, so there's no possibility for anything to be tampered with or anything with that. um After, like, if we go on lunch or break, usually I'll put these actually have here like a safety thing on here. Oh, there you go. So it
Hmm.
shows that right now that there is nothing in the barrel because it's blocked right here. uh right, this goes inside where the bullet would go. And so you just hook it in here, and so that everybody can see, okay, that there's nothing inside here. So I'll lay these down, and that visually, if anybody passing or not just sees this, it's like, oh, okay, there's nothing in here. And then I'll go through the safety checks again, making sure that maybe if I wasn't looking or whatever, somebody, maliciously stuck something in there, then I'm like, okay, well, I need to recheck these before we go into the scene again and make sure that they're safe, confirm with the first AD that they're safe, and confirm with the actor because they're going to be the ones using it that they're safe. And then go on and go blocking again to rehearse how it's going to go, and then actually film for the take.
Yeah, how much the industry changed after the Crow incident and the most recent one with, I forgot his name. I forgot his name.
I don't
Uh,
remember either.
Baldwin. What's his name? What's the whole name?
With the Alec Baldwin
Yes,
and
Alec
and
Baldwin. That was the
and
most recent incident where someone lost their lives, unfortunately. Do you know about those cases and how much industry changed afterwards?
so I've heard about it, and I actually, so when I did my gun safety instruction class, we actually went through that, and because everybody was wondering, it's very rare for this to happen so often. Like, how could this have happened? Like, it's not like it's unheard of, I believe, because in the course we went over I think 3 or 4 different times where it unfortunately has happened, and then the industry had to change or a new procedure had to be done about it. And so this is another thing where it's just like, oh well, the I personally haven't been working at my company when that did happen. But I did hear that there was a lot of like legal issues, and I've heard that my company specifically, a lot of the management was the executives had to actually fight and had to go talk to a lot of California not governors, but just and say everybody in the political sphere influencing it, because they're saying that apparently it was on the road to be banned. Like they're gonna have prop guns be considered firearms and have it like completely wiped out. And so there was a lot of things saying, well, no, it shouldn't have what happened on Rush shouldn't have happened because according to testimony, there's I think like 10 or 11 different safety practices that are already Hollywood standard, that if one of those things happened, then that poor woman wouldn't have died. But all 10 things didn't happen. And because all those 10 things did not happen, it was really unfortunate that that whole situation happened and that woman lost her life. It was, if I remember right, the manufacturing plants that this is all from memory, so
Mhm.
take it with a grain of
It's
salt.
okay.
If I remember right, it was the manufacturing plant who made the blank ammunition was in the same building using the same machines as the where they make real ammo. So it should be in two separate buildings using two separate machines. So there's never a mixed up. So the ammo got mixed up and sent on set. Uh, it was during COVID, I believe, or when they had the COVID restrictions. So they said, okay, there can only be 10 people or something in this church. And they actually kicked out the girl armor from the set. So she wasn't even present, apparently.
Hmm.
And the first AD took the gun. They did not inspect the gun with the armor with the girl. The first AD did not inspect it with the actor. The actor did not inspect it himself. Um, the apparently there I've heard that there were like live rounds being used on set for some reason, like not that wasn't supposed to be within the film. Like maybe they were fun shooting for fun, or maybe it was an accident, but they were aware that there were live rounds on set, which there shouldn't have been planned. And so therefore, if it wasn't planned for it, then they shouldn't have had it on set just in case accidents happen. Then what should have happened is you stop production, you say, everybody, we're going to check our ammo to make sure that it is not live rounds, that they're actually blanks. That didn't happen. Um, and then it's really hard to say, but it's the camera woman's fault too, and the director's fault, because when the gun was pointed at the camera, you don't see it, but behind the camera was the camera operator, the new DP. I believe she wasn't his camera. She just recently got promoted because the camera team walked off. I heard, and so that's really dangerous because you're supposed to have it off to either you turn the monitor so you're off to the side of it, or you have it slaved or somewhere. So if it happens to go out or something goes wrong, that you're not in the path of the bullet. You're supposed to be off to the side. And it was really unfortunate that the bullet went through the camera, through her, into the director. And I don't know if it went either stuck in the director or went past the director, but it was all negligence because the actor didn't think, because he didn't check and nobody checked that there was a real bullet. And the camera person, the operator, and the director didn't check or was notified or was thought, hey, I'm standing behind a camera and a gun. Maybe that's not the safest place to be. And it was just a lot of negligence that if any of those things happened and where somebody double checked or somebody stood out of the way, then that whole thing could have been avoided. That's really
Yeah.
unfortunate. You're supposed to be aiming to the side of a person, but because of the camera angle, you can't really tell.
Hmm. And even though for correct me if I'm can you elaborate more if it is towards the camera for some reason,
Hmm.
like,
So
so
like
what do you do with that when that happens?
so just showing clear
Hmm.
that there's nothing in here. So if you
Thank
need to
you.
have a shot where if it's going at the camera like that, then you're supposed to have, instead of the camera right here and then the person behind it, you're supposed to have the screen turned. So instead of looking at the monitor this way with the person, the monitor, the camera, and the
Hmm.
gun, you're supposed to turn the monitor so the person's looking this way, off to the side of the camera, or you have it off to the side, on something else, and then you have, your first they see you doing, focus somewhere else. But just in case there is something in the gun, or maybe you're too close to the camera, and now the camera lens is the bullet because all that pressure is going to make the camera explode backwards, and what's behind the camera. So you want to make sure that nothing is in the path of where the gun's shooting. And that's general gun safety, not just film safety. You don't want to be pointing at anything you plan on destroying. So if it's you can destroy a $10,000 camera, you can replace it. You can't replace a person. I don't know if I can draw. So like we'll do this sideways.
Hmm.
So if this is shot like here, and you
Hmm.
have the camera looking this way, and you
Okay.
have the screen pointing. So you have the person over here watching
Yeah.
the screen through the camera, and the
Hmm.
bullet travels through the
Hmm.
camera, through the screen, and hits the person. You
Hmm.
want to have the person move this way so
Okay.
that
Move
they're watching the
aside.
screen, yeah, on the other side, so that if it goes through them, then
Hmm.
they're going to be standing not here where you can really see depth, but this
Yeah.
further away.
Yeah. Further
So
away.
so they wouldn't be here, they'd be this way, looking
Okay.
to the side of it,
Okay.
if that
And
makes
there would
sense.
be no person behind in the path of the bullet or the gun anywhere close.
Correct, yeah. So if you were to, like, if this is your camera, if you're filming,
Hmm.
just turn the monitor,
Yeah.
just turn it,
Okay.
and then so that way you're filming off to the side. Yeah, you're not
Hmm.
behind the camera, but you don't need to be moved behind the camera because
Yes.
that's a dangerous spot.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh I believe I think the more people that are involved, especially in like the safety meetings and knowing exactly everybody knowing exactly what's going on, they is the better, because there's also things that you have to worry about with like, even if it's just with blank firing, like if you know and you verify that it's only blanks going through, which still shoot the fire, have the fireball, you have to worry about, is there anything flammable around the area? Is there any, things that may catch fire? Is there anything really close? Is there people next to each other? Because then you have to worry about hearing protection. People can go deaf if it's too close, or if it's an enclosed area because the sound has nowhere to escape. It can be really dangerous if people don't communicate these things. Like if there's like, for with the airsoft guns, for example, because the blowback gas is essentially propane. If you're shooting a film and there's if you're filming a film, I try to make the distinction between shooting and filming, where
Okay.
everybody says I'm going to go on a shoot. I try to say we're filming right now, because then it's different saying we're shooting right now, especially when replica guns are involved. So if you're filming and there happens to be like something on fire nearby, then that's a safety concern, because what you're shooting from the gun is a flammable gas. You don't want to be near that, because then it poses a danger to the actor. So there's a lot of other considerations that have to be done, not just of what you may or may not be shooting from the gun.
Okay. Question for you. If you see something that is wrong, categorically wrong in skipping procedure, will you stand up and will you say that I cannot let it happen? Could you guys please stop or could you change? Or you don't think like it's worth it?
I definitely think everybody should ask questions and say, hey, is this right? Is this okay? And make sure, because one, they can save somebody's life, and two, now you just became more knowledgeable on something you didn't know. That reminds me, I actually there were two separate films I actually declined doing, because in the pre-production they wanted me to work as a gun wrangler armor on the film, and I was asking them, okay, I need these things to be happen before I even set foot on there. I need the location person to confirm, saying they're okay with having replica firearms there, because they don't have the orange tip. This looks real. People walking by may think it's real. People may think that it's, a real gun, and that that this is, maybe they don't see the cameras of all the people and they think they may panic, and that's
Mm.
essentially illegal, because that can be brandishing and people can get arrested, and that's a whole mess. And so um there are two separate films I actually had to say, you know what, I'm really sorry that I can't do this, because you're not going through all the proper procedures of getting approval for these. You're not making sure that this is safe for the crew as well as everybody around who isn't involved with the filming for this. Like, if somebody said, hey, I'm going to pay you $1 million to walk, down LA, and we're going to do like a badass scene or something
Mm.
without any permits or without any notices or telling anybody, I was like, no, that's dumb, because now that's everybody's reputation, in jeopardy. That's, also jeopardizing my reputation, the film's reputation. That's going to impose new laws for everybody. That's going to make it harder for students or for, everybody professionally. And so I had to step away from those two projects, because I was like, I do not feel comfortable that it's being taken seriously enough, because one, this is my career, but two, this can be dangerous for everybody else.
What are your others must have before you say yes to a project?
Uh, I have to know exactly how the guns are going to be used, because it's a difference of that's just going to be in somebody's pocket in a private room in a private residence that we have permission to film, to we're going to have a firefight in the middle of a street. There's a lot of legal things besides getting permits. It's also you have to notify everybody around you and post warnings so that nobody can possibly wander on set and not know that there's filming going on. You have to have people down every single street and alley saying, hey, we're filming, just to let you know. And maybe you can't stop them, but you have to at least have notices where beyond a legal doubt that, hey, there's going to be guns being held and there may or may not be explosions and stuff like that, but at least giving notice to the neighbors like a week or two or days at least, ahead of time in advance, noticing, hey, this is going to be happening, so that beyond a reasonable doubt you did everything in your power to notify everybody around you that this is going to be happening, so that somebody doesn't panic and just be like, oh my god, it's World War III is happening on my street right now and stuff like that. So it's going taking as much caution as you can, not just of the permission of, yeah, are able to do it. It's just protecting everybody on set and around in the publics that what you're doing is safe and okay to do.
Hmm. And anything else? Like do you need to see the whole uh scene in a sense? Obviously you touched upon it, but do you need to have some other mandatory things, like you have to have a safety meeting every time, right?
Yes, every day on set, that's the first thing we do when we do right after the first AD does their safety brief, just because everybody's already there and you already have the talent, you already have all the crew, so everybody knows. And if anybody has any questions, then that's a great time, because then somebody has a question and somebody else didn't think about that, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do pyrotechnics over here, but we're also putting like something falling from the sky that's flammable, and now all of a sudden the building's on fire. I think it's always good to have everybody on the same page so that everybody knows what's supposed to happen, so that if something doesn't so that if something does happen that's unexpected, there's more than one person going, oh, this is wrong, and that they can cut and they can stop it, they can safely fix the situation, or in worst case evacuate if people need to. But I think it's generally good that everybody is on the same page of knowing what is supposed to happen and what should not happen.
Hmm. Uh, do you, or any armor for that matter, do they have any same production design, or they just have to know it?
uh I can only speak from personal experience. Working in a small team, there there obviously is limits, like with budgets and things like that, but I try to at least stay true to the scripts. At least most of my productions I've been in are student films, so I say, okay, well, tell me what you'd like to happen, and then we have to cut it down, maybe because of budget or because of safety precautions, or maybe the venue doesn't want any guns at all. Then you have to work around that, and that's just kind of how it is. But generally speaking, I think of I I've never been in a position where they say, oh, we can't do this. Usually then it's at least a notice brought to their producer saying, oh, this is a concern, at least so they know that um there's nothing flammable nearby, or that the actors are first, especially they're comfortable with handling a BB gun or a real firearm or a fake gun, because maybe they're uncomfortable with that, which is totally fine. That's fine if they maybe didn't realize that their person's going to be shooting a gun or holding one or pointing it at somebody or being almost pointed at, kind of thing. And that's a real concern, and that's okay, as long as everybody knows, yeah, that these are concerns that could pop up, and that the program departments are notified, and that everybody's kind of on the same page. I think that over communication is not a bad thing.
Yes, that's really, really true in terms of everything, to be honest. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of the nerdy one question before I move forward to the nerdy stuff.
Sure.
Do you guys do you I'm pretty sure your company does, but do you handle the fake knives and swords and other weapons as well, other props?
Yes. So we have fake knives, fake swords, as well as real swords, real knives. We even have a lot of the illegal stuff. So like we have switchblades, butterfly knives, real and rubber. We've done all. Yeah. If you haven't heard of our company, I haven't honestly haven't heard of it until after I graduated.
Mm.
Independent Studios is one of the largest prop houses or companies in North America. We've done every single DC movie to my knowledge, every single
Oh wow.
Marvel movie. We've done all the Star Wars stuff. We've done a lot of just Amazon, Hulu, Apple TV, Netflix stuff. I was gonna say we've done in conjunction with Studio Rock Technology, like we made all of like the Mandal or at least some of the like the Mandalorian ships, the lightsabers,
Oh wow.
a lot of the Marvel, like I've seen them make the very iterations of Captain America's shield. It was really funny because 2 years ago I saw them make the curved, I don't know if you saw the movie, the curved US agent's
Oh,
shield from
Thunderbolts?
Thunderbolts. Yeah. And I was like, I saw it 2 years ago and I was like, huh, I wonder how they're gonna put that in the movie of like
Oh.
it Captain America's shield being bent like a taco. And I was
Oh.
like, oh, that's after I saw the movie, I was like, oh, that's how they did it.
Oh.
Um yeah, so we've done most of it. It's really cool because I was like, oh, I'm most of my friends are in like the production side, like gaffers, grips, DPs, sound, stuff like that. And it's
Mhm.
I that's amazing for them when they get onto production, but it's really hard for me to be like, I know stuff that you will probably know in 6 months when you're on set, and I'm preparing for before set, like we're in the pre-planning stages and everything. Like we when we did Superman, we had to do this was in December 2 years ago, and they needed like 100 tactical vests for the U.S. soldiers as well as the I keep
Oh.
on forgetting what they're called, like that like
The Lex agent?
invading, yeah, the or the like the country that was invading the other country
Uh,
kind of thing.
I
So
have
we
no idea the name
yeah,
for, but whatever. Those two
so we
countries. So
had
you,
the so they said, okay, we need 100 military vests, but 50 of them need to be US and 50 of them need to be this other country, and we need like 50 M4s and 50 AKs and 50 foreign helmets and 50 US helmets and 50 pairs of knee pads for them. And it was like, oh man, that was around the same time as Thunderbolt. So we had
Mhm.
the whole company just like, okay, we need to get DC and Marvel going at the same time with this big military order. So that was really stressful and crazy, but it was awesome because I was like, oh, this is neat that I have to remember what I'm doing now because I won't see my work until a year at least from now, kind of thing. It's like trying to remember that. So like all the things I'm doing today, I probably won't need to try and remember for when it comes out in 2026.
Yeah, yeah, but it's really fun. You get to see. I don't think you guys do costumes, right? But you do
No,
accessories, right?
yeah, the most we do costumes is military vests and helmets and things like that.
Oh, that's
Which
cool.
actually I know this is a bit of a controversy, but
Mm.
I said I think it's a good thing because of the industry's been so slow. Because of this project, we were actually able to rehire some of our employees that were laid off. We did the Trump's 250th America's birthday parade.
Oh,
So
okay.
we had to do like it was I think it was like 1,200 soldiers. So we needed to do 150 from the Revolutionary War, 150 from the Civil War, World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, Gulf War, and then the Global War and Terror. And then we need to do 150 vests, 150 helmets, 150 guns for each one. So it was like 1,200 vests, 1,200 helmets, 1,200 guns, and we had to
Wow.
ship them all the way to Washington D.C. And they only gave us like 2 months notice. So I was
Oh.
kind of put in charge of that project, and I was like, oh god, this is my like first big thing. I'm really a part of. So I'm like taking notes and making sure, talking to different departments, are you sure you have this much, are you sure you have this much, and
Mm,
making sure, okay, no, 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 150, okay, this is good to go, no, 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 150, this is good to go, and then
mhm.
wrapping them all, and then we sent it all away, and it was really cool seeing it. um and apparently, politically part aside, everybody was like, "Oh, it's kind of neat seeing the progression of all their uniforms and stuff, and how technology has changed historically from when the country was founded 250 years ago to right now. Like, so much has changed, and then being able to bring that all back, and now I got to recount. Okay, did we get everything? Did this guy take anything or whatever? And we got everything back, and we had to actually rent from other prop houses because we didn't have enough.
Oh,
We were the main choice, I guess, for the government, but we only had about 80% of the stock, and then we had to buy and borrow from other prop houses the last 20% to be able to ship out.
yeah, that was
At least
good.
enough to, and so the positive thing is, despite people's political opinions, especially in California, how you feel
Mm.
about Trump, I personally think of it as a good thing because yeah, there's a couple coworkers that we had to lay off because it's unfortunately the industry's been really slow, but they because of that they got to have additional work for I think it was about like 4 or 5 months now since that happened, and I was like, those are people's lives and families that now they get to have a paycheck that they wouldn't have had that not happened. So I was like, you know what? For their sake, I view that as a good thing.
Sometimes do you get rushed orders too? And
Oh
how do you
yeah.
guys manage it?
So yeah, sometimes the sales team they say, hey, we need some help, and so they said there's somebody picking up later today. They need a rush order of like 10 police belts. Can you go do that? And so okay, so then we'll go, and it's you get the police belts, then you have to put on the gun, you have to put on the taser, you have to put on the handcuff, the keys, the baton, the pepper spray, and all these things, and you have to make 10 different copies as fast as you can. 10, yeah, for all those things, and then make sure. Then you have to wait for maybe they have different sizes because everybody has different belt sizes, and then they get rushed off saying, okay, they're going to be used over the weekend, and then they're only gone for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they come back Monday. And it's like, oh, okay, well, somebody must have really not communicated, for you to say, oh, it wasn't just one thing you missed, it was 10 things. But we're able to do it, so that's at least nice.
Hmm. And it
But it's
have,
it's common.
oh, it's common.
Mm-hmm. It
Oh,
usually it's not it's a little more uncommon for somebody to say, hey, we need like 100 or something, because by that time you're probably going to need to know like, okay, what are the sizes of 100 people, or how tall are they, things like that. But it's not uncommon at all for somebody to say, hey, we need a couple spears, or we need a football, or a soccer post, or a human dummy to throw off a roof or something. And it's like, okay, yeah, they'll do a rush order right away, and you can be out the door in 30 minutes if you really want to.
oh, is dummies still a thing for
Oh
like
yeah.
throwing in purposes? Oh my God, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, we have a whole wall in our warehouse of dummies. So we have all the way from ones that are made of like cotton so that you can run over with a car and they'll be fine. And then we
Oh,
have like small ones for like kids and everything if you
oh,
need to throw a kid off a building or something. And then we have like all the really heavy ones that look like oh, what are those called? Like the CPR like practice ones, the
mm,
really expensive ones. Yeah, we have those. We have a whole bunch of like uh ones that are like higher quality ones, or if I remember right, they look like burn victims or
mm,
realistic skin. I know that they were used in like The Last of Us, Fallout. I think a couple were used in NCIS and Dexter, if I remember right. Yeah, but
mm,
if you need like just a face in like a body bag, or like,
mm,
oh, this person was like a burn victim, so the
mm.
rubber's all like black and charred and stuff like that. I mean, we have everything there.
Oh, that's so nice. And for the horror movies, when they kill someone and everything, that's the bodies are a prop, right? If I'm not wrong.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so amazing.
it was actually neat. There's an upcoming movie. I can't tell you the title. Uh,
Okay.
but we got a chainsaw, and they needed um I think they needed like they're I'm assuming they're gonna need to cut like a person or an animal or something, because they said, okay, we need a clean chainsaw, a copy with blood on it, and then we need a copy with the spinny part taken off so that they can CGI it in so that they can wave it around and get close to people and not have to worry about hurting anybody. And so I think they made, yeah, like 3 or 4 different copies, and then they returned it. And my work company was like, oh, we don't want the bloody one because it's all in the gears and everything. And so one of my coworkers took it home. He was like, I'll take it.
What?
So that's kind of neat. Yeah. So every once in a while, it's really nice because we'll get stuff from movies that they either ordered and now they say we don't need, or we'll get things that are donated that they bought. That's kind of cool. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, like when Happy Gilmore, when they were doing that, they needed like 1,000 golf balls, and we already have like 500 golf balls. So we're like, well, we don't need another thousand. So we are just going around saying, if anybody wants golf balls from Happy Gilmore 2, you can take one. And I was like, I don't need any golf balls. So I didn't take any, but a couple of coworkers were like, yeah, I really want it. So that's cool. And so I've taken a couple cool things that they were gonna throw away. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat because you can't, like, if things say like a certain thing from a specific movie, like I don't know, I'm trying to think of something, like if like, so hypothetically, if something says like Stark Industries, then Disney
Hmm.
owns that, so we can't re-rent it to anybody else. um that's a kind of bad example because like the company never throw that away, but something like that where it's like, oh, it's from that movie, but if the company doesn't want it, they say, okay, well, we can't re-rent it because we can't make any more money off of it because it's only for that. Then we'll say, oh yeah, we're just gonna go in the trash, and then I'll ask permission from my boss, just saying, hey, if this is going in the trash, can I take it? And they're like, yeah, sure, if it's going in the trash. So yeah,
Okay.
I've taken things from movies, so that's kind of cool. I have fake money from that John Cena used from Peacemaker from season one.
Oh,
I
okay.
have, yeah, there was a seat back from American Horror Story that I gave to my best friend
Okay.
because we're like, yeah, well, they we asked them if they wanted it back, they didn't reply, and we're like, okay, and we're like, well, we can't re-rent it as American Horror Story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, oh, I'll take it if they don't want it. So yeah, so that's
Oh,
kind of cool. The perks of working there.
okay. What's one prop that you will take? And it's just a hypothetical question. It doesn't have to make sense, but what's the one prop you will take from your office?
If I could take anything, it would probably be one of the guns that was used in John Wick. Because
Oh my God.
we did all the guns from John Wick, all the whole series, and I know they're locked up in the weapons department, but that'd be one of the things that I'd take. I probably the first one of the first John Wick 1 movie guns.
Oh, I will take something from part three when he was the old style one when he what's the one with the roller? What's the name of the
Oh,
gun?
the revolver, the dueling one, you mean?
Yeah,
Or
the revolver that it
uh
in third that he checks for something. I don't know what he was checking for with his ears closed.
oh, in the glass shop when they're smashing all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah. What
We
do?
probably have that somewhere.
Oh, well, what was he doing exactly when he was just listening to the roll? I don't know.
I If I had to guess, I think it was he was combining different pieces from different revolvers to make sure they fit and they worked right.
Oh,
So I think that it was like testing to make sure that it clicked right or whatever, because I believe back then revolvers were kind of, especially like rare ones, they didn't work really well. Now current revolvers, they're like, especially the modern ones, they're incredibly reliable because they're really simple compared to like traditional semi-automatic pistols. But back then, like rare or collectors revolvers were very unreliable, so I think he was trying to mix pieces together to make sure that it worked, so he could get one shot off one guy
oh,
and then go to fight with knives.
oh yeah. That's a really cool movie. Is it one of your favorites in terms of like gun handling and gun everything? That's your favorite?
Yeah, because a lot of people may or may not know, like, so usually the whole Hollywood image around guns is that oh, you have 50 bullets in a magazine, you never have to reload and everything. But that one I think is really amazing because it set the precedent of like this so this is a Glock 19.
Mm.
This usually only has 15 bullets. So
Oh.
usually what happens in John Wick is if he shoots 7 times and there's 8 left, if they cut, he's only going to have 8 shots in the next scene. He doesn't automatically refill to 15.
Hmm.
So I think that that's really awesome because they actually had to cut around it and make sure that if you shoot 3 times in the previous cut, you have to shoot only this many times in your next cut. And you have to be incredibly precise about that. And you can't just go crazy.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. They can fix it in post or no? Because sometimes you don't see him pulling the trigger, right?
Uh, yes, but then also you have to worry about how many people he shoots. So like if there's 7 bad guys, he can't shoot 6 times and all 7 people die, unless if they're right behind or something. But yeah, but you're right. Like they could do that in post, but it's at least they made sure that in post it was correct.
Okay, which one is your favorite?
Uh, I'm always a sucker for the first of a series because I think that's uh the ones that people enjoy the most to kick off series. So like I like Star Wars Episode 4. I like
Hmm.
yeah, John Wick 1. I like the other thing came to mind was like Pirates of the Caribbean one. We have a whole section of Pirates of the Caribbean swords that's just sitting in a pile because we had to age them and everything. But I was like, yeah, it's just I like the first one because it's the first time the audience has an introduction to the worlds of the series, and then you get or you're able to expand on that. But having that good solid core of this is what it looks like for the first time, I think that's just, if it's really good, it's just truly amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, what sequence is your favorite? I know there's a lot, but
Mm.
in first one, first John Wick.
And the first one, I'd say probably the house scene, because you're able to see how very claustrophobic it was, and even though it was a really big house, there was a lot of bad guys, and you can see he was like shooting through walls and everything, and but the cinematography was amazing. You're able to not only see that, but uh or not, excuse me, you're not only to capture the action with all the angles, but also see it because of the lighting of it's nighttime, it's dark, but you don't have to worry about what is that or who's that or what's going on. It was lit very well, and you didn't have to worry about like trying to figure out what's going on. It was always very, for at least for me, it was very straightforward of understanding what action is happening, and not just, oh, this is just him shooting people. It's him doing something different every single time.
Hmm.
So if,
So Brian, do you want to talk about any projects, future projects, or anything, any event related to that you want to mention here?
uh so far I don't have any future projects outside of work. Um right now, yeah, we're trying to keep busy, but it is unfortunately a lot slower than how it was from when I first started. Um, but that being said, if anybody watching this would like to visit our location for a tour and look around, maybe get inspired to write something or have us be involved in your next film, you're more than welcome to stop by at our Sunland location. If you just look up Independent Studio Services, I believe it's issprops.com. You can check out our website. You can check out, I believe we have right now working like an inventory selection screen. So you can just browse, like if you're looking for something specific, to see if we have um and if it's available or like what it looks like, we you can check that out. And yeah, I'm just right now planning to, I love working there. I love my company very much, and I'm seeing if maybe there's opportunities for me to get the union membership through them. Um, but yeah, right now there's a lot of opportunities right there. If I stay long enough and get more experience, so I'm just seeing how those opportunities will pan out for me if hopefully the industry picks up again.
Hmm. Before, I have a question. So we can visit your facility without any, is it open to just seeing, even if we don't have any intention to buy anything?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because a lot of times too, we do tours for like high school students and college students, and we even do for those of you still in college right now. They're thinking about doing your thesis film. We have student discounts. Or if you're in the master's program, we can give you student discounts as well. Yeah, but there's people that even come around, and I say, it's a good place to even just get inspiration to write something, because we have a Western section, we have a sports section, we have our upstairs media room. It looks like a literal Apple store. So there's tables
No.
out of like every single iPhone ever made, every single Android ever made, computers, VR sets, old cameras, new cameras, broadcasting setups and things. We have our military department, our police department. We have bikes and strollers and uh kayaks, fishing section, camping section. Yeah, we have hot dog carts, and we have a shawarma stand that I think was
Oh.
used in Superman. Yeah, we have a little bit of everything. So I think it's a good thing to for people to come in, even if you want to thinking about writing something, to use that as your inspiration, because that we're such a large resource that's available for everybody in the LA area, that maybe somebody didn't know that all this was available, or they're like, hey, I want to use these things in my film, and it's available for us to rent right now for your film.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also put the link of your website on the description. Also your Instagram ID. If I would assume if anyone has any questions about IPS, ISS, it's you're open to talk to them.
Sure, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I will share your Instagram as well so that if they have any interest, they would reach out to you. And okay, before I let you go, what's your favorite gun on screen?
On screen, it would have to be the okay. I need to Google it because I keep on messing up what the
Okay.
name is called. It's the Merida battle rifle from Starship Troopers. That's my favorite movie too.
Okay.
I believe it's the uh is it the M Google says it's the M2. I know I remember it's, yeah, MK2, I guess. Yeah, it's from Starship Troopers, and it's my favorite movie because I got into that before I got into Star Wars and everything, and
Hmm.
I think that was really the catalyst of me getting into my firearms journey and career. A fun fact about that is I don't know if that still holds the record, but up until that point, that was the most ammunition used in a movie. Up until that
Oh.
point, it was that movie. And I was like, oh, that's just, I thought the CGI for that age was amazing. The set building, the set design, all the act, people complained about the acting. I thought it was great, as a
Yeah.
10-year-old kid or whatever. And you just the realize the world building I thought was amazing. And that's, yeah, still one of my favorite movies. And if I could own one of those, I'd be happy and die happy.
Okay.
You reminded me that that's one of the few things that I actually really like about war movies in general, is that I came to the realization a while ago, and I when I was talking to colleagues and friends, I was like, they realized, oh yeah, it's kind of true. Most war movies, or at least the ones that I've seen in the successful ones, they I enjoy them a lot because it shows, especially if it done properly, how unforgiving and brutal war is, but also more importantly, almost all the ones that I can think of, and for right now, I can't think of a single one that proves this wrong. Most war movies have the message that war is bad, and I think that's a
Yes.
good thing. That it's a terrible thing for people or countries, or in some cases the world, have to go through all this and affect so many lives. Um, and I think it's a good message that war is generally a bad thing, that maybe it's done for good reasons, like stopping the Third Reich and Hitler and stuff like that, but the consequences and effects of that is a bad thing. And that most war movies, or at least, like I said, as far as memory serves, it shows that there are people that don't deserve to get hurt, that get hurt, or people that have their lives either changed or destroyed, or the soldiers with PTSD, especially with modern days. It's been more like come to light with like that this is a real problem that wasn't talked about, in the 30s, 40s, and so on. But I think it's a really good message that they show that all these horrible things are in fact a bad thing. I don't think that there's yeah, very many. I mean, that's really bad, I guess, because Starship Troopers is an
Mhm.
example of like everybody saying, oh, war is a good thing. But
Yeah, but
it's the whole satire of the movie, I
yeah,
guess. But yeah, but generally speaking, yeah, like Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers and things of that, it's showing that war is a bad thing because of the effects of it and everything. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a it makes me feel good, like if I'm a part of that in my, because guns are used a lot in war movies, saying that like to spread that message of war is a bad thing, that that for that to be, hopefully, it'll probably
inspire
fall
real
into,
life.
yeah, it'll probably will fall on deaf ears politically, but like if people understand that war is in fact a bad thing, then maybe there'll be less you know petitioning to start wars or things like that. But one can
Yeah.
only dream. I'm a sucker for sci-fi. I like Star Wars and Star Trek in both different ways. I'm not I don't I like them each because I think some people are like, oh, Star Wars all the way or Star Trek all the way. I think
Mm.
they're both good in different ways, where Star Trek's a utopian future and Star Wars is a dystopian future, but
Mm.
they portray it really well. I like their world building. Yeah, I like I've always been like a nerdy sci-fi kid, so Doctor
Okay.
Who, Battlestar Galactica and everything. I like the I think it goes on with me liking film, where I like the idea of this could happen, or this could inspire hope, or this could prevent people from making bad decisions, to to have this future as a possible outcome, kind of thing. It's the stories that could be told if we go down this path, kind of thing. So that's why I'm always going to be a sucker for war movies and for sci-fi movies, for not the reasons of promoting war
Mm.
and dystopian futures.
Yeah. What about Firefly? Did you like Firefly?
I've actually never seen that. I've been told
Oh,
it's really good. Yeah,
oh,
that's
if
I yeah I have a list of things I need to catch up on.
what about if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you will like Firefly.
Okay, that's what's his name? Nathan Fillion, right? In it.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion, and I think it is directed by Josh Whedon, and I'm not sure if James Gunn is involved. I'm not sure. So,
Okay, yeah, because I like him, at least. I helped with the latest season, the rookie, to the prop one of the prop masters find some stuff. So
oh,
but yeah, I like him. I liked him in Superman. I liked him in the rookie. I think he's a good actor. I his brief little cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy, I like him. So I picture a younger him is kind of gonna be about the same.
yeah, yeah, it will be, and it's an amazing show. And there's a movie too, Serenity, based on that show, so that's
Mm,
good too. So if you're not into it, you can watch Serenity, and I think you'll get most of it, what's going on.
okay.
And yeah, thank you. And okay, Star Trek, what about Inception, and what about superhero movies? Because
Uh
I see the Dark Knight poster there.
yeah, so I liked all the Christian Bale Batman series. The Robert Pattinson one I'm kind of iffy about, but I hear they're making a sequel, so I'm kind of interested on how that's going to go, especially now with the new shift in how DC is turning with the new Superman and Peacemaker.
Mm.
I'm open to it. I had no problems with it. I'm just interested in seeing how that's going to be uh changed, because that only happened in what, the last couple of years, right? Because when they did like Peacemaker season one, and then they had to take out I don't know if you saw season two, but they had to change certain things. Like they took out the God, I can't remember his name. The old Superman. I'm so dumb.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, they took out his scene, and so they like retconned it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, I'm interested to see how that'll happen. Yeah, Inceptions, I like that. I thought it was very thought provoking. Interstellar was amazing, cinematically done, the sound and everything. Uh, yeah, we also did like Oppenheimer and Barbie, and I saw both and I
Okay.
liked both.
Okay.
Um, I think uh, half of it is just the fact that it's a well written story, and the other half I think I have more emotional attachment because I was like, oh, we're my company was involved in the making of that film, so I'm gonna view it maybe in a little bit better light because I was like, oh, we helped work on that kind of thing, so that's
Yeah.
kind of neat.
Okay. Oh my God, I forgot this question. I keep coming up with questions.
That's okay.
Did it ruin any of the film watching experience with you when you started taking working on it as a prop master? Like you just start analyzing the movies instead of like enjoying it and watching it?
Uh, not not in a certain sense where I talked to one of my friends who does grip work, and he said that when we were talking about this, he asked me kind of the same thing, and I said, yeah, now I've kind of changed my eye. I think it changed once when I got into the film program at CSUN, and then it changed again once I work where I'm at right now, where um it changed when I started at CSUN and seeing like, okay, they probably had to do this in over the course of like a day or two for this scene, like, oh, the continuity's wrong or whatever. As a prop person, now I see, oh, they got this wrong, or this gun wasn't invented yet, or it doesn't seem realistic like this for it to happen, or they use this wrong, or the he's firing they're firing bullets out of a machine gun that doesn't have any bullets. Like that doesn't make
Oh.
sense. So I look at things like that where they're, and they're looking at, oh, they must have put a light in this car to be able to shine this way, kind of thing. Um, and then from the pre-production side, I don't really criticize like that. I'm more trying to see how the motivation, what the prop master or what the production designer was intending for the scene to happen when they say, okay, we need something that was available in the 1950s. And I'll say, okay, well, just because it was invented in 1950 doesn't mean that it's still being used in 1990, where so it's 40 years old, but people drive 40-year-old cars still.
Yeah.
So that's maybe the character likes to have sentimental things, or maybe they just found it and they needed something from 40 years ago. So I think that's always interesting thinking like when I'm working now, hey, this is a modern film, but they got something old, for example. How are they going to incorporate that? How are they going to incorporate something from the 1940s in 2025 kind of thing? So that's kind of interesting. And then when I see it, it's like, oh, either
Hmm.
that makes sense or that is a very poor choice and I wouldn't have gone that direction. And then it gets me thinking maybe either the person wasn't knowledgeable or it was written different and they had to scrap the idea and, go in a different direction. So then it gets me just thinking that way.
Yeah, and you don't give any suggestions, right? You just give them what they want.
Sometimes they do. So, sometimes a client will come up to me and say, "Hey, I need a 2011 pistol that's just like John Wick's gun." I say, "Okay, that's right here. Do you want it a rubber for stunts? Do you want it a soft rubber to hit people with? Do you want it a replica so it just looks shiny? Do you want it to actually shoot? Do you want a fireball?" Like, so I ask him all these things, and they'll say, "Okay, I need this." Other times we'll get the other side, and there'll be somebody that says, "I need a gun." And it's
No.
like, okay. And then I say, well, we have like 1,000 different choices. Can you be a little bit more specific? And they're maybe like not really knowledgeable. And they say no. And I say, okay, that's fine. I just want to put in comparison. It's kind of like going to a car dealership and saying, I want a car. It's like, okay,
No.
well, you have a lot of, you know
You.
what, do you want a red car? Do you want a truck? Do you want an RV? Do you want a sports car? Do you want an electric car? Do you want to, there's a whole different options. What's in your price range? Maybe a question. So then I kind of narrow it down, like saying, okay, well, do you want like a big gun, a small gun, a pistol? How is it going to be used? Do you need it to do certain things with it? Do you need it to have any lights or lasers or things like
Mhm.
that? Do you need a holster to go with it? Is your character a big person or a small person? Because a small person is going to have a hard time holding a big gun. and a big guy is going to look really weird holding a really tiny gun unless
Yeah.
you want that kind of thing. So then I'll try and play 20 questions with them to try and say, okay, well, these are these options, these are these options. This is maybe period accurate. This is not period accurate. This is sci-fi. We have a sci-fi section of like space guns. We have other countries' guns. We have prototype guns that really took off and things like that, or that like would have been the U.S. Army's newest gun, but they didn't like it. So it's like, okay, well, we have some if they wanted it for that time period. And
Mm.
so I try to be as helpful as I can. And if they want, I try and, bring their vision to life because I feel like that's my job, but it's not my job to be able to control what they want or say. And so that I want to be as informed as they're willing to let me so that I can help bring their creation to life.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah. So sometimes there's a couple times where a prop master will actually give me some backstory and actually hand me a script and be like, hey, here's the script for our film. You can read it and this is what we're gonna do. What would you recommend? And the other times they're like, well, it's kind of like this, kind of like that. And I say, well, do you have any reference photos or a lookbook or something so I can be a little bit more specific? Because right now you narrowed it down to maybe 50 choices and I want to be able to help you. Otherwise, if you want to look through those 50, then that's totally fine too. But I just want to be as helpful as you would like me to be. But there's people that say, oh no, I just want to look around at we have a wall of guns. Then I said, okay, that's fine. Let me know if you have any questions, whatever. Just yell really loudly, Bryan, and I'll probably be around the corner.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, I don't have any more questions left. Thank you very much. And I would love to talk to you again, and I would love to meet you in person.